it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how buying habits change. I mean,
because they are changing.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been my biggest No Country for Old Men moment for me was watching Casper come up, because Casper created a problem that didn't exist. Like, are you tired of going to the mattress store and being hounded by the mattress salespeople? I'm like, no. I go to the mattress store and I lay on all the beds and I figure out which one's going to be the most comfortable one to have for 10 years, and then I'm going to spend a lot of money on it. And Casper's like, God, how terrible. Tell you what we'll do. We'll just send you one in a box. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's a couple $100 cheaper, and I don't have to go and talk to someone. You know, the problem that didn't exist, what they with Casper, what they did, and they did it really, smartly, is they looked at things that younger buyers, some of their pain points, and they almost took like a CarMax model of, listen, you don't want to be hassled by the salesperson, to, I mean, I don't know, maybe I just got lucky.
What's up, podcast family? That was Austin LaRoche. He's the CMO of a B2B marketing agency, ATAK Interactive. And, these guys really specialize in working with B2B firms that have great sales teams but suck at marketing. So he's like an outsourced CMO. And, thank you so much for coming back to the Real Value Exchange. I'm the host, Joe Lemon. And so I really enjoyed talking to Austin. Had a lot of fun during this conversation, as you could probably tell in that little opening clip I had when we talked about the differences and how buyers are kind of transitioning their thoughts. And it's really got to be a company-wide movement. Like the marketing strategy that you want to deploy, whether you're a small business or whether you're, B2B, or whether you're a large scale direct-to-consumer brand. I mean, you really got to have the whole company on board with what you want to market or whatever reputation you want to put out in the atmosphere. Let's kind of use those words instead. And, one of the things that I didn't have on this clip, but I added on the Sales Culture podcast, you check that out, where it's a lot more tactical and, things going around podcasting. I asked them a couple questions around like small business and medium-sized business models for podcasting. And as you guys know, it's a big problem. There's a clear strategy if you're a direct-to-consumer brand around podcast advertising. SeatGeek, ZipRecruiter, MeUndies, you name it, Casper, the whole list goes on and on of the guys that have successfully deployed brands and throw tons of advertising dollars at huge podcasts like Serial and the Joe Rogan podcast. And these guys are able to get a lot of visibility, drive people back to the website, and hopefully they can use the integrity that the host has built up with the audience to help convert some deals and let people know that's a quality product. So it works really great for web-based products and things that can go direct. You have to work with those major podcast ad networks if you want to make that happen. And so, which is great, but from B2B doesn't quite translate. There's hasn't been a lot of documented case studies out there. When I first did the actual conversation, and you can hear this on the Sales Culture interview that I have with him. It's a much shorter version. I just showed the actual behind the scenes, so the audio quality is rough, but it's still a great back and forth. And B2B has a totally different route when it comes to podcasting in my eyes. I think the solution is really going to be based around podcast guesting. And for those that aren't aware of podcast guesting, it's literally you are a guest on someone's podcast, just how Austin is a guest on the actual Real Value Exchange. Hopefully anybody that's interested, because I'm talking to a lot of sales guys tune in because I'm a sales guy, so people are in my network. They tune in, they may say, hey, you know what? Austin can help us sales guys, right? I got a team of assassins out there, but we don't know how to market for anything. So maybe they'll reach out to Austin. And so that's one way that he could possibly generate some ROI from doing an interview with me. Doesn't cost him anything to actually do an interview or anything like that. So just his time and a little bit of effort and having some thoughts around, how he can add value to my audience. So that's podcast guesting. Another way is to literally come out with your own podcast. And I think this is a phenomenal strategy as well, because if you have your own podcast, then you invite people on to your platform that you think may be either influencers or potential customers. So that's the angle I think medium and small size companies should really deploy if they're looking at doing some podcasting in 2020, because it's going to be here in no time. So if you're interested in doing that, I'm starting a whole Real Value Exchange community. So I would love to kind of connect with you. I'm just trying to put together people that are podcasting currently are looking to be guests and just make it simple for us to find each other. So hit me up. Go to my website, joealexlemon.work. Drop me a note. Tell me you're interested in being involved in that, and I'll add you to the list. And I'm just building up a waiting list now. And I'll come up with a cool, directory and all that down the line. But with that said, guys, I want to get into today's episode. And before we do that, one more other house business to kind of talk about. I'll be in Santa Monica. I'm doing a live podcasting event at the Spaces co-working spot. It's going to be at least a good 30 plus companies there. I got a nice lineup of people I'm going to interview. So if you're in Santa Monica, come through, get some free grub, drink some drinks on us. And if you're bold, grab the microphone. I'll put you on the podcast for a quick episode, or I can answer any questions you may have around podcasting. I'll have those details to that event coming up in Santa Monica in the show notes for November 7th. So with that said, let's get into today's episode. And if you have any thoughts, comments, or you want to add to some of the strategies that we threw out, please hit me up. You can reach me at Joe Alex Lemon wherever you are. LinkedIn is where I play the most. And drop me some stars, drop me some love if you thought this was a cool episode, and at least tell a friend, because then they can tell a friend, and that's how these podcasts get discovered. All right, let's get into it. So, talking about football, are you a Falcons fan?
No.
Okay.
I am like a millennial sports fan that everyone hates, where I really enjoy players.
Yeah.
I enjoy playing fantasy.
Yeah.
I have nothing can happen on Sunday that's going to make me unhappy.
No ties.
No. So
Yeah.
I went to Florida State. I grew up in a Florida State family. So college football
Yeah.
is the only thing on earth that can really hurt my feelings.
That's the South
from
too,
a
though.
sport. Yeah.
That's the whole South culture, though.
I've gotten 1,000 times better. I mean, I really have, and part of that, is when your team's not doing good and you live all the way out in California and it's 80 degrees. You're like, well, what am I going to do? Sulk at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday, or go for a hike?
I mean, dude, we're spoiled over here, man. I mean, talking about being sad after games. I remember coming up in Pittsburgh and talk about just the whole city just shut down.
Yeah.
And I was young, so I wasn't really in my working mode yet. But whenever the Steelers lost, I could imagine being there now, because probably people were just doing all types of crazy stuff with the type of season we're about to have. But literally, Mondays was horrible.
No. I mean, I lived in New Orleans and I lived in Chicago.
Okay.
And luckily, one of the 2 years I was in New Orleans was the year they won the Super Bowl.
Jeez.
So I just saw how the city shut down and saw mostly the glee. But when they would the 2 bad games they had that year, it was the same thing. And Chicago, it was a couple weeks ago, Chicago was on Thursday Night Football, and I just know that city. Everyone got off work, went straight to the bar or somewhere where everyone was watching the game. The entire city was watching the game, and then they lost, and so everybody went to work Friday pissed off and talking about how Trubisky's just not the answer, yada yada. And their towns revolve around that. And when you're out here in Southern California, where there's just so many different people from so many different places with so many different interests, it's different, and it makes sports more fun because it's so much less intense. Yeah, you just kind of enjoy it from afar, and you can make fun of it too. You can talk about the 4 Rams fans and
the 4 Rams fans. It's true, man. These guys get no love, man.
They get casual love. It's oh, hey, they're doing good. That's cool.
Good for those dudes.
Maybe we should take the kids to a ball game. Yeah. Tickets aren't that expensive, and they're good. It'll be fun. Then you try and get in and out of the Coliseum. You're well, that was the last time I'm doing that.
Never going back.
We'll see how the new stadium.
People, a quick background about yourself. I mean, obviously you're from Atlanta. That's how we got into the whole Falcon sports talk. But I'm excited to have you on the show because I want to talk to you about small business marketing, which I like your approach. I like the things that we briefly touched on already, and they were more so hey, the whole fluffiness of branding that Coke does and the Pepsis, because they got the budgets, of course. That's a totally different ball game. But for the other 99% of businesses out there, it's you got to have a different approach if you want to see your business grow. So I'll let you dive in from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in marketing now for 12 years, and I stumbled in on it. I was a creative writing major.
Yeah.
And,
at least you were writing.
What
though.
am I going to do?
Yeah.
Went into grad school and met some people who were at the Chicago Tribune, and kind of just stumbled into something called social media. and it was a lot of fun. This was back in '08. And, I just started kind of getting some more digital marketing skills from being in the building, learned SEO, and decided to kind of start my own little boutique agency.
Interesting.
And I moved to New Orleans, and I got some local B2C clients there, and, built a good reputation, but ultimately kind of recognized that I wanted a higher ceiling than I was presented with the local clients there, and decided to come out to Los Angeles. And as I was kind of trying to grow my company, I started working with a development company, ATAK Interactive, and they recognized that with my skill set and what I was bringing, we could merge our companies and kind of create a full service agency. Mm-hmm. And we did that in 2014, and we quadrupled our collective companies in about 3 years.
Wow!
And it was really a great marriage of they had great structure. I had a creative jolt and an ability to inspire and excite clients that maybe they hadn't had previously. And
it takes both, though, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with EOS or Traction, but they have this whole these two leadership roles that they identify as like the visionary and the integrator. And a lot of companies and CEOs try and be both people.
Yeah.
But really, the visionary is about having the big ideas, being able to set the direction, and the integrator is about making sure that the engine's running day to day. It's it's no different than the architect and the contractor.
Yep.
And it's just it takes different skill sets. The worst part is that when you're quote unquote a visionary, I hate that because I can't call myself. I mean, that's my role in the company, but it just sounds stupid. I take on the visionary role here.
I cast down the vision.
But it is what we do and what I do. And,
that's awesome.
One thing that I recognize as we continue to grow is there's a lot of people out there who are just kind of confused on what to do. They market the same way they always have, or they have weird expectations, and there's just a lot of wasted money in marketing. And so earlier this year, I launched something I call purposeful marketing, which is a really simplified system that helps company align their brand, data, audience, and marketing to sales operation, so they know exactly why they're doing everything that they're doing. They know what every dollar is going towards in the customer life cycle, attracting the prospect, connecting with the prospect, closing the prospect into a customer, and then delighting the customer. We have a set of actions for each of those stages for each customer segment that we're going after, and then we make it very clear. So everything just is simplified, and it makes complete sense for everyone. And that's something I try and be as helpful as possible and preach as much as I can of why are we doing this, and what is the tangible result that we want to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we've had discussions about the idea of branding and brand metrics. And I look at metrics, and I think I kind of try and segment those into brand metrics versus conversion metrics. And I think that brand metrics are only solid when they feed into conversion metrics. So if just in a simple sense, if you're trying to get more form fills on your website, then a branding metric would probably be just site users. How many people are on your site? But let's be honest, I can send 10,000 people on your site from the Philippines tomorrow if you'd like. I can
sure,
pay for
yeah.
that. But none of it matters if it's not resonating and you're getting the conversions that you need. So the idea is there's all sorts of brand metrics out there, and they're a lot of times they're great vanity metrics. It feels good when you post something on social media and you get a lot of likes and comments and engagement. But how does that actually flow into the life cycle of the customer? And if you don't really understand those things, if you don't understand how the brand metrics need to feed into the conversion metrics, then you're probably doing things. You're probably wasting some money. You're probably wasting some time. But you might feel good, so maybe it evens out.
I'm more of a sales background type of guy. So when you start talking about things like, hey, we want to target this actual demo, and having it line up to something that's going to make sense, that to whether they're either going to look at working with our brand or not, like something that's very tangible for us to kind of walk down the path. That's like straight and narrow. I mean, bells are ringing for me because I'm in sales, right? And that's what we look for. But the other stuff is kind of confusing to me. But go ahead, you're about to say more.
Yeah, and that's why account-based marketing has really taken off. And,
Yep.
And it's why I typically find my clients get a better ROI on that as opposed to typical lead generation. So for anyone who's not familiar, account-based marketing is the sales team is driving, and you're the navigator, and you're trying to help out. Okay, it's identifying the leads, and then it's figuring out, okay, how are we going to get in front of them to attract, connect, close, and delight these people. And a lot of times it's for one client that I have that's in construction, they come in at a really early stage in the architectural process and the design phase. And so they are looking through databases of construction projects that are starting and trying to figure out who those people are and start having some conversations with them. And, it's a lot of things that typically sales teams have done in the past, but when you have the support of marketing, you can automate certain features. You can add some creative elements that might be a little bit stronger than what your sales team can put together themselves in PowerPoint.
So at this point, I'm going to jump in and take a quick break from the podcast because there's a lot of background noise going on and everything. We're moving mics around, so it got all fuzzy. But I'll fill in the gaps here. I'm going to plug out salesculture.work. That's my podcasting agency where we help B2B companies really figure out what's the best podcasting strategy for them, if one at all. So as you guys may have heard, the hashtag going around is podcasting is the brand new blogging. And I think there's a lot of plays that really cross over for a lot of B2B guys, but not everyone. So if you want to talk about it, if you want to just kind of shoot around some different ideas, reach out to me. Go to salesculture.work, and I would love to connect with you and add whatever I can there. Here's an example too of a nice pre-roll conversation, mid-roll advertisement. So if you guys were curious. But all right, with that said, we're going to pick right back up where Austin was talking about the differences between having lead gen versus an account-based marketing.
Is that are going to create a demand, and people are going to fill out our form, and they're really going to want to work with us. And I think that there's definitely a place for both, and depending on the business, demand generation can be a lot better, especially when you're looking at when you have a much broader audience. If you're somebody, if for instance, if our company just built websites and that's all we did, then demand generation would be really, where we would spend a lot of our marketing efforts because every company needs a website, right?
Yep. So
what we've recognized about what we want to do and how we're most helpful, though, for our clients is by really being kind of like an outsourced CMO and then an outsourced marketing department. So that we can fulfill all of their strategy, marketing, creative, and development needs without having to build out a whole internal wing of their company. So, we look more for those kind of companies where there's really strong sales teams that just need some marketing support, and so we identify those, and we do a lot more on the account-based marketing side than the demand generation.
That's really interesting. I mean, it's funny. I was talking to a couple of tech companies about this podcasting stuff, and it was weird to me to hear that they're not even looking at having sales people. They're almost using like the marketing to be solely for their, their actual sales org or sales team, really. Have you seen any customers implement or kind of leverage you guys to kind of be like the people that help drive through all the way through the funnel, or is it normally always a handoff for you guys?
Certainly in B2C, you're going to see a lot more marketing and less sales. I mean, just you don't need to hire a salesperson for your e-commerce store,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think certainly in B2C, you're definitely marketing can overcome sales. I think there's just a level of a price point for certain products that
Makes
are
sense.
always going to need a longer sales cycle and human connection. Maybe not always, but it's certainly not going away in the next 5 years, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how buying habits change. I mean,
because they are changing.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been my biggest No Country for Old Men moment for me was watching Casper come up, because Casper created a problem that didn't exist. Like, are you tired of going to the mattress store and being hounded by the mattress salespeople? I'm like, no. I go to the mattress store and I lay on all the beds and I figure out which one's going to be the most comfortable one to have for 10 years, and then I'm going to spend a lot of money on it because I want to be comfortable for 10 years. Like, this is a good investment, but I'm laying on all of these so I know what's right for me.
Yeah.
And Casper's like, God, How terrible. Tell you what we'll do. We'll just send you one in a box. You don't even have to go to the store. It'll be awesome.
We'll send you a shitty mattress in a box.
And everyone just went, oh my God.
I gotta get
this. Is perfect.
Yeah.
It's a couple $100 cheaper. And I don't have to go and talk to someone. And I was just like, well, this is fucking stupid. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good, man. Go for it.
This is stupid.
Yeah.
How on earth is this going to work? And then now every mattress retailer is trying to do their own thing. And I don't know that the next time I need to shop for a mattress, I'm even going to have a place to go lay on beds. And then I'm going to be really upset.
I mean, man, it's wild when you think about it like that, though. Like, the fact that these guys have created almost a problem out of thin air. Mm-hmm. It's very similar to like Uber as well, right? I mean, because like
no, there was a real problem.
All right, with taxis.
You were living in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I wasn't.
If you lived in like a place like New York or Chicago where cabs were just cabs, yeah, it was a little bit more expensive.
Yep.
But like the cab system wasn't necessarily broken. Out here, it was like if you wanted to go and like enjoy yourself. In downtown and you lived in Santa Monica, like you were, let's just say it cut down a lot of drinking and driving in this town, and it made it so much more affordable to get around. So, but going back to the problem that didn't exist, mm-hmm. with Casper, what they did, and they did it really, smartly, is they looked at things that younger buyers, some of their pain points, and they almost took like a CarMax model of, listen, you don't want to be hassled by the salesperson, to, I don't know, maybe I just got lucky and went to good mattress stores my whole life.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't remember getting closed on the mattress at all. I mean, I remember choosing, I've bought numerous mattresses, but I remember the guy sitting there like, all right, let me kind of run through the numbers with you and take me through hard close. I never experienced that.
Yeah, so I mean, in looking at that, and how it may relate to things down the road, and because these buying habits are changing, and younger people are much more comfortable buying expensive things that they haven't seen or touched before. Yep. And a lot of times I believe that's because we've got really good companies have started a strong customer service of. A strong customer service tactic of you can return anything risk free if you don't like it. I still don't. I mean, the idea of putting a mattress back in a box sounds like just the fourth level of hell to me. But I think that's where they get you. Yeah. They're like, well, they have the guarantee, and then you're laying on it. You're like, well, do I either keep this mattress or spend the next 2 hours trying to get it back in that box? Yeah. You know what? I'll just keep the mattress. It's fine.
I can see my wife saying, "Get that box out of here." And you're like, "Crap, I don't like the mattress." Like the box is going. All right, well, I guess we're keeping it. The mattress is ours now, man. But it is interesting talking about buying habits, though, right? Because even with on the B2B side, like the buying habits have totally. I mean, they've definitely shifted because at least from some of the stuff I'm seeing out there, a lot of my customers, they do their homework prior to even talking to us. Like there's not very few guys are coming in like blind. I haven't talked to a blind customer and I'm not even sure how long it's been. I mean, they normally Google it, touch us on like social, get some insight about it, talk to our actual competition, Yeah,
and I think you've seen a great shift in salespeople going away from a timeshare buy now or it's over, this deal's over model to here's how I'm helpful to some people, and here's how I might be able to be helpful to you. Yeah, this is what I do, and this is how I help people. And if that's really your mentality, then I think you're going to be okay. Yeah. And that's where you're going to, like going to your example, they're going to go online, they're going to check you out, they're going to look at information on the product. And if you can helpfully put all of that information out for them, like it's only going to increase your chances. Yeah. I have a life rule. If somebody gives me a hard expiration date on some sort of sale, unless it's like a retail thing, you know what I mean? But if it's like, for like if it's like a new software or something, they're giving me a hard hard sell. You got to do it by this day.
Yeah, like, 48 hours.
It's not worth it. Yeah. Like it's not. Like I can wait. You know what I mean? If it's literally a going out of business sale and it's not, the place is not going to be there the next day. Like, I mean, I'm not oblivious to those sorts of things. But like, and if you push that immediacy on people, like, who wants to work with you? I mean, I obviously I work in a service business, so everything's got to be looked at through the lens of a long-term relationship. And so, the last thing you want to do is pressure somebody to make a decision. Hey, I offers off the table in the next week. It's it's just it's not the way to go about it. But I think that sales teams have generally shifted to this model, this education focused. Here's how we help people, and here's how we might be able to help you.
Yeah.
As opposed to, all right, here's the deal. I got you a great deal. Talk to the manager in the back. He said I could get you down 15%, but you gotta sign today.
Yeah.
Gotta sign today. Yeah. Although I will say this. If you are dealing with any sort of software companies that are public,
yeah,
they're the last month of the quarter. My God.
You always get the best
You
deals,
can
right?
get a deal, but man, like I had a client that was ready to go for something in October, and I was like, they begged him, 11:59 on September 30th. We will run your credit card. Please just sign up now. Okay.
Did it work?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We're gonna. I probably could have negotiated more. What about 10% less than that, and then we're good.
Right. No, man. I want to bounce around a little bit. I've been thinking about this while you were talking. That's kind of hold my question in. But so you launched your business back in 2008. Is that right?
I launched my first business in 2009. Yeah, I was
2009?
interning at the Chicago Tribune in 2008, and then in 2009 I launched it in New Orleans, and then it was usurped. Is that the right word? It was acquired by ATAK in 2014, and now I'm one of the two principals there.
So you launched the business on the heels of an actual recession. I mean, was it easy to kind of? Obviously, easy is probably not a word that I should use during a recession. But how did you maintain a business during that time period?
A lot of help. It's funny. I'm debating how I want to answer this because I don't know another way of saying
honestly,
I was
policy,
so poor and miserable, and it was. I rarely make it back to New Orleans because
just because of that.
Yeah, I was getting good clients, but nobody really was paying a lot, and I was. It was really, really, really difficult, and I wished so much that I had that bone in my body that was like, you know what, I should be an apprentice for a while, get work for somebody who I really want to end up being like, and then when the time's right, then I'll start my own thing. But as I've kind of seen through having a child, that's just not how my genes work. And that's the funniest thing about having a kid is realizing how much of a pain in the ass you are. I try and teach him how to swing a baseball bat. He's like, Dad, I know. Like, how could you possibly know? How could you know? And, and that's how I started my business. And I failed a lot, and I failed up. The things that kept me alive was I very much recognized in a service business that I had to build a relationship, and I had to care so much about my customer that I couldn't let them down. Doesn't mean everything always works. Doesn't mean things perform exactly what you want, the way you want it to. But you had to follow through on what you said you were going to do. You had to bring them new ideas. You had to excite them. You had to showcase to them that you cared enough, and you knew enough. You were paying attention. You weren't just going through the motions. You were seeing how customers were interacting with their brand, and you were looking at competitors and what they were doing. Like, you were going above and beyond because you wanted to be as helpful to them as possible. And that really kept me alive, man. That just being able to I don't when you say build those relationships, I feel like there's like this connotation of like in a negative way that you're like, hey, let me take you out to dinner there,
right.
Or something. It's like no,
like some cheesy type of stuff. Yeah.
It's more like earning a relationship, and it's through both the work, and it's a lot of it's through your attitude too. I've worked on a lot of different projects with a lot of different companies that are similar to mine, and I've just recognized that my approach to, I don't want to say customer service, but just like to like my clients is like, I'm always in their shoes, and if something's not working, the last thing I'm looking to do is figure out how I can absorb blame. The first thing I do is say, okay, well, if it's not working, we're in charge of this, so it's our fault. Okay, they're not happy with how something's performing, so let's take a step back and let's identify what we're doing that's not ideal and how we can do it better. Let's own up to everything that we've done, even when it really isn't our fault. Take complete ownership. Just absolutely do it, and and let's find a path out of this, or at least find a path to set them up for the most success. If at some point you look at everything that you've done with everybody that you have and all the information you've got from them and it's not working, sometimes the right answer is we might not be the right partner for you. We might not be. Yep. And you've got to be able to have the courage to do that in business, and to be able to really live these ideals that you set up for yourself.
And where you're not, and
and I think everybody likes to be challenged, and so there's a couple different challenges that people like, and sometimes it's like you in our business, like sometimes you're faced with an account you're not ready for.
Sure.
And like one of my my great friends, he has this mantra he lives by: tell your story, make it true. Yeah. And essentially create your promised land, and you tell people that is who you are. Yeah. And the second they accept you for that person, you figure out how to actually be that person. And so there's certainly times when you're in rooms and you're like, okay, the way I have everything set up today, I don't know that I'm right for you. Yeah. But I know that if you give me a chance, and I can buy myself 3 to 6 months of onboarding time and like discovery, and if I have the financial commitment to you to hire the way I need to hire, I can be awesome for you. I can be lights out. Other times that's just not what I do. Yeah. We focus primarily on B2B, and we have some clients that do a lot of B2B work, but kind of want to start releasing some brands out into the Amazon wild. And they're like, what can you do for Amazon? And to me, I recognize like that is a niche market.
Man, Amazon is so. But go.
Because it's not like I can't. It's not universal. It's not like, oh, my guy who does my AdWords and my Facebook ads, he's awesome. He'll figure out Amazon. Like it's a different beast, and like there's a great niche, and there's great niche agencies, and those are the guys that I'm gonna work with. Yeah. And the way that I handle my business is I help people kind of oversee everything at a high level, and I build the team to execute that. And it's okay if that doesn't mean that that's not always one of my employees. That means I can manage and help my customers by because when you own an agency, you know every damn trick in the book. Mm-hmm. So I can go to an Amazon agency and I can know all of their moves. I can know everything backwards and forwards of what they can and can't do, and where they're feeding me BS and where they're legit. And I can interview them and find the right people, and I can hire the right people, and I can manage them far better than a client could, because I know everything about agencies at this point. I've gone through the gamut, man.
Man. So talking about the Amazon agency world, man, because that's going to be. I'm not sure how big it is yet, but it looks like it's going to be ridiculously large. Especially since Amazon's talking about doubling down on offering some more of the marketing capabilities, so you can boost products and all the rest of that. How is the world looking from the Amazon agency perspective? Is it huge like it seems to me, or is it just kind of something that's still really niched out and there's not a lot of people?
I would say that the best thing that they have going for them right now is that it's still an avenue that a lot of companies still want to be everything to everybody. Yeah. So they don't want to just be the Amazon agency. Yeah. So I don't think that it's not a super crowded market yet. Mm-hmm. It's something that everyone's going to have to be able to get a grasp on if they want to be able to
sell anything online.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say if they want to really excel in the B2C space. Yeah, and I think that's and I think it's interesting. I also believe that Amazon doesn't necessarily make things incredibly difficult, and so there's a real fear because I've talked to these agencies of, hey guys, if we work together, I want to be able to pay you a little bit more than your fee monthly and get some of the consulting with the idea that I'm going to be able to kind of learn all of your methods over a 6-month period and let you go and be able to kind of build out this arm for my company. And I don't know that I actually want to do that because I don't know how hard it is. Mm-hmm. But I know when I bring that up just to kind of feel it out, there's a lot of hesitance there.
I'm sure.
It's like, oh, yeah, I don't know that I want to show you all the tricks. And it's like, which is funny because like as a marketing agency, like we all know the same things. Like, we all have the same skill sets. We all have to, we do them in our own different ways. But, like, there's no, like, if there's a client who wants us to train them how to do something in-house, we're going to do it for them. Like, that's just not a problem. But I think that the Amazon world still thinks it's a big mystery, and that they're the ones who hold the keys to this golden path of growth. But we'll see. We'll see what all shakes.
As you said, information is free flowing.
Yep.
I mean, you might have it maybe 10 days before I can get my hands on it. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, no, I always say my ideas are free, my implementation costs money.
Boom. Boom. That's perfectly summed up, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I mean, that's how most of the internet is. I mean, and it's awesome. Have you ever, like, so I once couldn't, like, get my gas tank to, like, close. And so I literally Googled it. And a YouTube video came up, and I essentially realized that I had to have my car unlocked to do it. Yeah. And, like, it was just like, yeah, there's so, like, everyone's giving away that information. And there's, like, some YouTube video with 121 views, but some guy just decided to make it one day to be helpful. I don't think he's ever made money on it. And, man, what a better place.
Man, honestly, this is so wild. So one of the products I sell, we sell directly to urologists, right? For ED. It's a big business for them.
Sure.
And literally, these guys learn how to do this procedure on YouTube. I mean, your urologist that's charging you thousands of dollars to have the procedure done is a YouTube training protocol video.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because if you were to just say that people learn things through video training, you would say, okay, I get that because it helps the hands-on training, whatever. When you frame it, and framing's a big part of marketing. Framing, your urologist is learning how to your surgery on YouTube. It's terrifying, right? You're like, oh my god, what? Not my urologist. I don't even have a urologist.
Yeah, I was just saying, but that guy, whoever that guy is that you're going to, he's probably learning a shit ton on YouTube, man.
Yeah, I mean, and
I get it.
Framed differently, he's refining his craft daily. When he can't do the hands-on work in the hospital, he goes back. He goes back. He just watches the craft over and over again. It said Hunter S. Thompson once wrote Ernest Hemingway's. I forget which. I think it was Sun Also Rises. He wrote it start to finish, so rewrote it so he knew what it was like to be a great writer. Jeez. This is what my urologist does with his YouTube videos. At the end of the day, he practices on a banana and watches YouTube.
Muscle memory. He's dialed in, so he has my junk. Man, I mean, but it's wild, man. It's wild to see. This kind of bring it back. It's wild to see how these buying habits and how these expectations from our clients are really shifting. You know what I mean? Like, YouTube's zero barrier to entry. We can go up and play like we're doctors tomorrow, we'll probably get found out within 45 days and be exposed on Facebook somewhere, and our families will be upset at us. But we could do it. We could start making videos and lease out space.
No. We would never be exposed unless it got big enough.
True.
It's not until like the fourth urologist like ruined someone's ability to perform would we ever get found out, because that's the other thing that's really strange with the internet and all of these things. I could have completely made up all of those stories about how I got into marketing, and nobody was going to check me on it.
100%.
It's and sometimes it's fun to have fun with some of the, by the way, you can go look through my entire life. All that stuff is actually real. But like I've got a client who he just loves to kind of fabricate stories of how he meets people. And he was like, yeah, I know I was introduced by somebody's the real story. But when I tell the story, I was at one of his speech lectures, and I came to him afterwards and told him I had never been inspired like that before, and I would love to be his mentee and do anything for him. And he said, all right, I'll give you a shot. And that's how I, met the person who changed my life. I was like, damn, that's fun. And it's harmless. It's not like the mentor doesn't know that's how he tells that story too. Right. So it's just,
I mean, but it's fun and it's cool. It's a really cool time that we live in, man. I was asking you those questions earlier about 2008 and 2009 when you were launching, because I feel like there's going to be a shift in how people operate during our next downturn, whenever it is. I mean, people throw out a lot of different dates and time frames, but hey, right. Yeah. Everybody likes to play that type of guy. But it's like I think there's going to be another major shift that happens in this kind of realization. Because I remember being in Atlanta. I was just graduating Kennesaw State, and I was like, I got to go out and, well, matter of fact, I had my own personal training business at the time. And I remember it being hard as shit to get clients. And I felt like I was a phenomenal trainer. I mean, that was great, and I felt like that was great. It was my ego. But either way, I remember trying to get a job at like LA Fitness and being depressed. Like, this is the best I can do right now. Yeah, I mean, it was a weird time, you know what I mean? And it definitely caused me to kind of change how I view things.
I think in any career, resilience and is going to be a major part of whether you're going to make it or not.
Yeah.
I think when you're starting your own business, that gets completely amplified. And, you know, when you start, you just have all the positive dreams, like, oh my God, I get to be my own boss, and I get to, you know, schedule, I get to do all of those great things. And then you don't realize, like, you're never off the clock. You know, so I always joke. I say, okay, so here's the trade-off. Anytime my son Xavier is sick at school, if I don't have, you know, a big client meeting or something like that, I can go and pick him up. But for the rest of my life, every evening, weekend, and vacation, I am going to be peeking at my email, because that's what it means to run your own business. Yeah. But going back to the sacrifice and the struggle, it sucks. You know, if you have funding, if you have apprenticed enough to that you really understand and know how to be able to start your own business, like, you know, you might be leaps and bounds ahead of people. But if you're somebody who's just wants to go for it, and you have, you know, great intuition, and you know that you can work hard and you can make it succeed, you definitely can. But it's going to take a while, and it's not going to be easy. And you kind of just have to emotionally be ready to fail and to get up and keep going. Yeah. You know, and if you really write out an entrepreneur's story to them before they get started, you probably scare a lot of people off. And it's very rewarding in the end. Like, you just hit these milestones along the way, and then, like, you know, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, like I'm like saving money. Holy crap. How is this happening? Like, what? What? And then you buy a house like an idiot, and then it's all gone. But you know, it's really rewarding, all the different milestones. And I think the good news is like, once you kind of hit certain areas, okay, we're in the black. Okay, I don't have to eat ramen noodles this week. Great. You know, I get to cheeseburgers. I get to fly to go on a 3-day vacation, and then a week vacation. Yeah. You know, and then all of a sudden, you just kind of keep hitting those milestones, and you keep working hard for them. And you know, the other thing that you've got to be able to do when you're starting off is, like, kind of going back to that whole tell your story, make it true. You've got to kind of talk more to your capabilities than your experience of what you can do, and being able to articulate that and be able to show people the possibilities of what a collaboration with you, or, I mean, I'm a service-based business, so, you know, there's product-based business is maybe more what your product can do, you know, and how it can help lives. But, you know, it's very, very rewarding in the end. But the struggle is real. I'll tell you a quick story of when I had made the decision I was going to leave New Orleans to move out to Los Angeles, because I knew there was more opportunity. Did not have a lot of money. I had $40 in my bank account. Took it all to Walmart.
Wait, the worst. $40 in New Orleans, and translate that to LA.
Hold on. This is before I sold all my stuff to afford the move out.
Okay.
So this was like, okay, I'm not getting paid for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Gotta survive. So I went to the Walmart on Chapatulas. It's the saddest Walmart in America. Show me a sadder Walmart, and I'll be really depressed. But I went in there, I walked around, and I figured out $40 how I was going to eat for 2 weeks. I walked out of there and I said, I'm never, ever, ever stepping in a Walmart again. It's nothing against the Walmart corporate edge. It's like, this is it. I'm not doing it. And I'm going to figure out how the hell to not need anything else for 2 weeks but this food and maybe $5 in gas, and then I'm going to never ever worry about if I can eat again, never think that I have to go to a Walmart again to be able to afford something, and I'm going to fight my way through it. And I did. I haven't been back to one of those Walmarts. I found out that we bought like some chairs from Walmart's marketplace, and I sent them back. That's
like you held true to that commitment.
Yeah, and it's weird. I've always risked it like coming off as snobby, but it's almost more of like a promise and a determination myself that like where you are right now, this is the pit. This is the bottom of the pit.
Yep.
All right, look around. This is where you are. You're never coming back here.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously weird about it, sending back those chairs, but it's my commitment to myself, and if I'm gonna be resilient to my clients, I guess I have to be committed to myself and my word internally as well, right?
Well, I mean, Austin, man, I can't think of a better way to kind of wrap up and close out, man. Keeping your word to yourself is the thing, right? I mean, there's nothing else that you can really kind of look at that will bring you more joy than just being true to whoever you want to be.
Well, if you're gonna cheat on you're gonna cheat on anybody, right?
Everybody's gonna cheat.
You know what I mean? That's like the one person that you really need to be faithful to.
Yeah, everybody's gonna cheat, right?
If you can't do that, then oh, geez.
Yeah, it's a tough life, man. I mean, so Austin,
you're gonna hurt a lot of people.
True. Please tell everybody, though, man, how to find you, your website, and maybe any other relevant information.
Oh, yeah, you can check us out at ATAK Interactive. That's ATAK Interactive.com. You can look me up on LinkedIn, Austin LaRoche. I also Twitter at Austin LaRoche for all of your sports, music, and political complaints. Mixed in with maybe a business post now and again. But yeah, and then if you do get a chance to check out any of my stuff on LinkedIn or on my site ATAK Interactive, take a look into purposeful marketing. We put a lot of time into it, and I really do think that it's a really revolutionary system that's really going to hopefully help a lot of different businesses.
Love it, Austin. Hey, man, we are out of here. Appreciate your time again, brother.
Of course, man.
Hopefully you guys really enjoyed the conversation with Austin. If you're interested in linking up with him, because he dropped a lot of quality information here on during this conversation, I'll have his details in the show notes. So just click onto his link. LinkedIn's a really good place to find him. That's why I linked up with him. And you know what? If you have any meaningful conversations around healthcare, around marketing trends, and of course around podcasting, I would love to talk to you, especially if you're a podcaster, because I'm trying to get more of us podcasters to kind of link up and connect and do this whole podcast guesting thing to get some more awareness going for one another. I'm always open to those conversations, so please reach out to me at joealexlemon.work or Joe Alex Lemon on any of your major platforms. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend.
96% of B2B buyers want content with more input from industry thought leaders. Launch a podcast and invite influencers on your show to position your brand as an industry leader. Learn more at salesculture.work.